doing? You can't be reading this. This is graphic material.
Hey, stop. Let me ask you something. Do you like your First Amendment? The amendment that makes it so you can talk, post, preach, whatever you want freely without any legal repercussions? Let me tell you something. This thing right here called the book ban violates your First Amendment, and we're going to educate you a little bit on it. My name's Emily Jolly.
And my name's Samantha Walters.
And we're the EBC. So, Sam, how about you tell everyone a little bit about book censorship and the book ban as a whole?
Of course, Emily. Where do we begin? Book banning is a form of censorship which occurs when private institutions, government officials, and organizations remove books from library, school reading lists, or bookstores because they object their content, ideas, or themes. For example, the book Kite Runner was banned in several private libraries across America because of its obscene sexual content in relation to a child being molested.
Another example is the book The Color Purple, which was put on the banned book list for its recurring themes of sexual and physical abuse and teen pregnancy.
How is the book ban even relevant?
Well, I'm glad you asked. According to data found by the OIF, or the American Library Association's Office for Intellectual Freedom, challenges of unique titles has surged 65% in 2023 compared to 2022 numbers, reaching the highest level ever documented. OIF documented 4,240 unique book titles targeted for censorship in 2023, as well as 1,247 demands to censor library books, materials, and resources. OIF also found that titles representing voices and lived experiences of the LGBTQ and BIPOC individuals made up 47% of those targeted in censorship attempts. This means that almost 50% of books targeted by book bans or censorships were stories told by LGBTQ or people of color. There were attempts to censor more than 100 titles in each of these states: Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wisconsin. If we look at the poster, we can see the numbers of unique titles challenged from 2021 to 2023. In 2021, we have almost 2,000 with 1,858. 2021, we have 2,571, and then in 2023, that number almost doubles with 4,240 unique titles challenged. Next, we have school book bans by state. If we look at the key to the right, we have the number and color indicating what states have the most bans. We can see that Texas is the number one with 751 to 1,000 bans. We then can see we have one state being Florida with 501 to 750. We have two states with 251 to 500 bans, a few states with 26 to 50, a few with 11 to 25, and 1 to 10. We can see while looking that even though the numbers are kind of dispersed, the number of states with book bans is greater than the number of states without them. Next, we look at one of the most important graphs, which is this pie chart of types of books banned by percentage of unique banned titles from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. If we look at the first one, type of material, we see that poetry takes up the smallest percentile with 1%, then nonfiction with 24%, and then fiction with 75%. If we then look at the intended readers on the right, we can see that the smallest percent is chapter books with 10%, adult and middle grade taking a tie with 11%, picture book for 19%, and young adult with 49%. The 19% of picture books might surprise you, but there has been a recent uprise in authors producing picture books that have more heavy topics, such as discovering yourself, or sex education, or children's experiences with being people of color, that has really grown in numbers by the amount of books being published with these kinds of ideas with them. So that is why picture books takes a second place with 19%. If we then look at the young adult, this is no secret. It is really because the books that are being published are under the young adult section because they are catering to young minds. So we have young adult and fiction, which we bring back up the Kite Runner book. That is a fiction book catered towards adults and young adults. So looking at the books catered, we can really see that young adults are the highest because authors are trying to get students and teenagers to think about their education and their gender and discovering themselves and accepting themselves for who they are, whether that be gay or straight, black or white, just trying to accept the fact that we are all equal. We then conducted our own data, and according to our research, 100% of people ages 18 to 50 plus believe that no books should be banned. Instead, they believe in a type of age restriction based on the different books' content. Now, the EBC does agree with age restriction. Later in this presentation video, you will see our plan to try to get age restriction enacted. Our data shows that people believe this despite their differing political parties. This is very important because our next set of data says, according to our research, 90% of people ages 12 to 17 believe that no books should be banned. This is different than the 100% from ages 18 to 50. Our data shows that the books that students want banned have elements of LGBTQ and slut shaming in schools. The 10% of students who believe in book banning align their beliefs with Republican views. Like I previously mentioned, this is different than the 100% from 18 to 50 plus age range. Despite their political views, everyone in that age range believes no book should be banned. Again, different than the 10% of students who believe in banning books and their belief aligning with their political party being Republican. The books that were up for ban through our own data was Almost Perfect and The Truth About Alice. Almost Perfect is about a book about an all-American high school football player who falls in love with a transgender teenager named Sage. The Truth About Alice is a book that tackles slut shaming inside of a high school, and these are both very heavy topics, and these were the books that were said should be banned for students.
Now that we've just shown you the data, let me tell you about how the book ban affects us. The book ban prohibits information and rejects freedom of thought. So it prohibits how we can express ourselves and how we can allow ourselves to think for ourselves, specifically connected with individualism. It endangers our First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of assembly. And it hinders education. If we block out all inappropriate content, how is the future of America supposed to educate themselves on the hard stuff?
Now that we've told you a little bit about book ban, the data, and censorship, let us tell you a little bit about the EBC and our policy. Our policy memo is fighting the book ban for students, libraries, and citizens around the country by offering alternative ideas. Instead of banning books altogether, we plan on having different government organizations help us make a list and committee that's job is to filter through book ban demands, see if they are legit through a series of questions and tests, and put age restrictions on the books that qualify.
Just speaking about it isn't going to do anything. So let's dive into our action plan. What will the EBC do to limit book banning? First, let's talk about direct policies. We plan to have a clear and distinct set of rules in order to support the freedom of learning and reading while interfering with the censorship. So if we have rules that limit how we can ban certain books, we'll have less books banned. Second, just selection requirements. We want to create clear requirements for selecting materials to possibly add an age restriction. This ensures that decisions are based on factors that do not include opinion bases, but education value, relevance to the organization's mission, and accuracy. Third, we have just review. The EBC will work to implement a review process for challenged works. This would include a creation of a committee formed by elected members that would include educators, librarians, parents, community members, etc. and they would evaluate and make informed decisions about age restrictions and the books challenged. Lastly, we have legal aid. We can't do much without government help. So to defend our freedom and fight censorship, the EBC intends to partner with organizations dedicated to the First Amendment rights and challenging censorship in court.
But what does this even mean? What institutions are even going to help you?
Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
I hear some government institution involvement, yo.
Let's start with the ACLU. ACLU has been our nation's guardian of liberty, working in courts, legislatures, and committees to defend and preserve the individual rights and liberties of the Constitution. Institute for Free Speech. This protects free speech, fighting in court and helping others who have been challenged. PEN for America. PEN America stands at the intersection of literature and human rights. They champion to have freedom to write, to express what you want to say in novels, and to prevent books from being banned. Legislators. We need legislators to make actual laws to implement our policies. We plan to lobby and reach out to Congress members to encourage them to help us pass a bill or a law that will help prevent book banning. We want to support public libraries. Public libraries don't ban books as much as private libraries do. And if we provide funding and support for these libraries, we will have more access to books. Yo.
Now that we've told you what the book ban, the EBC, and how we plan to stop this problem,
We hope to see you out there campaigning and helping us.